Welcome to the 65th TDCC live webinar, Decoding Learning Differences, a guide to dyslexia and dysgraphia. We are honored to welcome today's speaker, Praveen, educational psychologist and intervention specialist at TDCC. With over 20 years of experience, Praveen brings deep expertise in supporting children with dyslexia, dysgraphia, ADHD, and processing disorders. He holds a master's in psychology and is certified in evidence-based programs such as the Orton-Gillingham approach, Slingerland, and Wilson multisensory teaching. His work includes psychoeducational assessments, designed IEPs, remedial instruction, and the use of assistive technology and learning propensity tools. At the heart of his practice is a commitment to structured, multisensory, and strengths-based interventions that unlock each child's potential. Join us as he leads this important presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we all welcome Praveen.
Hi, Praveen.
Hello, hi.
Hi,
I think you can see me, right?
now, yeah.
Yep. Hello, all. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you from my side.
Uh-huh. Can you see me also?
Yes, I can
Great.
see you.
Excellent. Welcome all to our 65th webinar. And today we are going to discuss about the topic dyslexia, dysgraphia. And we will be touching the areas of what is dyslexia, dysgraphia. Then we will be looking at the signs and symptoms, how can we identify those, and what to do to help. Yeah, that is important also. And I've seen the questions that you have sent to discuss in the presentation. I have included all of it in the presentation itself. And if you have any more questions, we can discuss at the end of the webinar. Yep. Okay. So let's go into the presentation. Okay. So you can see this, right?
Yes, we can see your screen, Praveen.
Great. Excellent. Okay. So we are going on here. What are the takeaways today? Understanding dyslexia, dysgraphia. Then you can see some common signs and symptoms, myths, and how these learning differences affect a child's academic experience. The second one, you can see identify early indicators, both at home and school settings, and what is the time, to seek the professional help. Then explore the third part, practical evidence-based strategies and tools to help students or kids with dyslexia and dysgraphia. First of all, we are going to start with an activity, and hopefully you all have a pen and paper. Yes? If you have pen and paper, please say yes in the chat. Yep, most of you are having it, right? Yes. So what we are going to do now, we are going to start with an activity. It will be for 1 minute, okay? What you do, you are going to copy this sentence. Learning is a journey, not a race. But there are some rules for that. You cannot use letters E or A while you're copying, and you must write with your non-dominant hand, left or right. Then you must write quickly as if taking notes during a fast lecture. Okay? So I'm going to start the timer. That is going to be 1 minute. And when I say stop, you need to stop. Ready? Remember the rules. Your time starts right now. I hope all are having fun doing this. 30 more seconds. 20. I know, so hard. I can see your message so hard my hand got tired. Yes. 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. Okay. So now, how did you feel? Can I get some answers? I got one already. So hard. Was it frustrating, confusing? Did it make you so stressed? Yes. Yes, I gave up. Yes. So you can just see this one. Students with dyslexia often feel this one, yeah, in reading or writing, in that intensive environment. The purpose of doing this activity for us to understand, what a dyslexic student, will feel when the demands are kept on them and they are not able to keep up with the demands, right? There we go. So now we are going to look at what they feel in class. So this is Joe. He's dyslexic, and what could he feel in classroom? First one, why can't I never get my thoughts down on paper? Okay. Second one, why can't I remember what the teacher asked us to do? Why can't I, why is spelling so difficult, so hard for me? Now, why am I so disorganized? Why am I so easily distracted in class? And why is copying from the board so hard for me? Okay, and you can just see these are the feelings going on in a child's head, whether dyslexic or dysgraphic. Now we will go for what is dyslexia. So dyslexia is a specific learning disability that primarily affects a person's ability to read, spell, write, and sometimes speak. Okay, so it is neurological in origin and is not related to intelligence. So a child who is having lower intelligence, having difficulties in reading and writing, we cannot say that is dyslexia. And there won't be any problems with vision or hearing. Okay, so dyslexia or dysgraphia, it is, you need to see, this is not related to any of the physical issues like vision or hearing or low intelligence level. Then you can see the features of dyslexia do not always present in a consistent pattern. The difficulty levels will differ based on the severity of the problem. So severe dyslexia is more readily seen in the education setting because of the difficulties they face in reading, writing in classroom. Yeah. Then what causes dyslexia? Mostly it runs in families and it has a genetic component to that. So I'm saying it's not only genetic, but mostly, okay? And it involves differences in how the brain processes written and spoken language, especially in the phonological processing areas. So how the sound is processed. For example, if I have a word that is just, okay, then I need to know what are the sounds. How can I spell just? J, st. What is J? Letter J. So that is letter sound and letter name association. That is U. S, that is S. That is T. So that sound processing is a problem with dyslexic kids. So if we look at the brain here, you can see the difference between a typical brain, a typical reader, and a dyslexic brain. So there are three areas here highlighted. The first one is called Broca's area. So in here, this area that you see here in red, that is responsible for articulation and word analysis. And the second one you can see in blue, that is parieto-temporal. This is for word analysis. And that's the third one here, green, occipito-temporal, that is for word form. All these three areas should work in tandem when a child or an individual is reading. Okay, so that means articulation, word analysis, word form. So this is a typical reader. Now you can see the dyslexic brain most of the time, the connection won't be there. Okay, so mostly the area which will be developed more will be the articulation area. They try to read, but there won't be a connection for word analysis or word form. So the connection is what is missing. So you can see here, dyslexia stems from how the brain is wired to process language, especially the sound structure of words. Then brain imaging studies already, they show this difference even before they begin formal reading instruction. So that is seen in individuals who are having, dyslexia will be seen before we teach them reading. Okay, that's how, that is the basis. You can see the neurological basis of dyslexia. Yeah. Now, most of the dyslexic kids actually, or individuals, tend to use the right side of the brain rather than the left, that is for reading and spelling. So you can just see when they get a word to read, or then when they do the reading, they most of the time they identify the word by how it looks like. Okay, not like using the sounds or the spelling pattern or anything. They almost all the time look at a word or memorize it by how it look like, or by the picture of it. Sometimes what happens is when they read it, they will just read, identify the first syllable of the word and guess the remaining part. So that's what we say. Most of the time they use right side of the brain as a picture. They get it as a picture, as an image in their head, rather than using the sounds or spelling patterns. Now, here, this is for you, actually, a checklist for dyslexia. And I have here 3 checklists, okay? The first one, I need to say that first, this is not a diagnostic tool, okay? This is just to guide you how to identify signs of dyslexia. So don't, diagnose a child with this reading difficulties based on this checklist, okay? So you can see early signs, that is ages 4 to 6. 1, delayed speech development. 2, difficulty learning rhymes or nursery songs. Then trouble remembering letter names or sounds. Then struggles to recognize common sight words. Avoids or shows frustration with drawing, coloring, puzzles. And trouble with left-right orientation or following directions. So you can just see this one. These are the early ages, okay? Then this is a checklist, an informal checklist for you, whether, you see a child with learning difficulties, or see that he's struggling or she's struggling in learning, just use this one to identify the symptoms. Then the school going, 6 to 12. Then trouble decoding words, sounding out unfamiliar words. Then frequently guesses at words instead of sounding them out. Then poor spelling. You can see the inconsistency, like in the same paragraph, they can write because in 3 different ways: BECOS, BAKOS, and or whichever other way they think of. Okay, so the same spelling, the same word will be spelled in different ways in the same writing activity. Then difficulty copying from the board or taking notes. Then reads slowly or below grade level despite normal intelligence. Trouble organizing thoughts in writing. Avoids reading aloud or reading in general. Then you can see confuses similar looking letters: B, D, P, Q. Then numbers also 5, 7. All those are reversed. These are signs. Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. Now you can just see the third one. Sorry. Okay, for teens and adults. Slow reading speed with frequent rereading to understand what is read. Then the second one, avoids reading for pleasure or professional tasks involving reading. Poor spelling, even with spell check. Then difficulty summarizing or organizing written thoughts. Trouble with time management or following multi-step instructions. Strong verbal skills but weak writing or reading performance, or may struggle with foreign languages. One thing I need to add here, an individual with dyslexia, if they have difficulties with one language, it will be shown in other languages also, whichever additional language they are using, even in school or for work. So this difficulty will be seen in other languages also. So if I go back, see these are just some signs that you can identify in different ages. Okay, so we move to the next one here. Dyslexia and the areas you can see with difficulties. First, I will go with reading. In reading, you can see mostly losing place in text, then moving or overlapping text, and needing to reread. Then in spelling, similar sounds cause confusion. Then, for example, if I have a sound, long A sound, okay, I have two words. Pain, we can spell it in two ways, P-A-I-N and P-A-N-E. So don't know which one to be used when. Or when we use a spelling rule for example, we can spell K sound in three ways, using C, using K, and using CK. Where to use which one? So that will be a difficulty. Then you can see listening for problem in note-taking, then find background noise distracting. Then in writing, can't find the right word while writing, organization problems, difficulty getting ideas on paper. Then spatial temporal, you can see that difficulties with telling time. Then left and right orientation, that you can see mostly with reversals of letters. Then get lost easily. Then memory difficulties, you can see memorizing sequences like phone numbers, alphabets, timetables, and then multiplication times tables for sure, dates, then motor control coordination problems, handwriting difficulties, and difficulty copying. So you can see these areas, these are the signs, okay, for dyslexia. And some of it, you can just say this is touching dysgraphia also. Moving on. Now I'm going to do the definition of dyslexia. This is from British Dyslexia Association. This is important for you to see what is dyslexia and what is not, okay? So dyslexia is described as a combination of abilities and difficulties which affect the learning process in one or more of reading, spelling, writing, and sometimes numeracy and language. Then the weaknesses may be identified in areas of processing speed, short-term or working memory, sequencing, then auditory or visual perception, spoken language, and motor skills. You can see all these ones that those are combined with difficulties like processing speed difficulty, short-term memory difficulty. So all those are combined. Then you can see important one in the third paragraph. Some children, they have outstanding creative skills. Others have strong oral skills, while others have no outstanding skills. They all have strengths. Okay. Now, dyslexia occurs despite normal intelligence ability and conventional teaching. It's not a teaching disability. Okay. So even though that you give the proper teaching or the normal intelligence, the individuals are showing difficulties with reading and writing, then we can suspect it is dyslexia. And it is independent of socioeconomic or any language background. That's what I said. This can be seen in any language, not only English. Yeah. Now, here we go. This is very important for us to know the connection between working memory and dyslexia, because most of the time there is a myth. Okay, the students who are having low intellectual ability will show learning problems. That is dyslexia. No, mostly you can see dyslexic individuals will have difficulties with their working memory also in the cognitive part. So now we need to look at what is working memory. So working memory is the ability to hold and manipulate information in the mind over short periods of time. See that tasks such as following instructions, problem solving, reading comprehension, using step-by-step process. You need to keep one step in your mind to solve the next step. Even in numeracy, you can see that in multi-step problems, you need to just do the first step, get the product of that, and go to the next one. So step by step, keeping information in the short-term memory, not short-term memory, just for few seconds to finish the task. That is working memory. Then how it is affecting dyslexia. Now we can see many individuals with dyslexia have weaker working memory, especially for the sounds. For example, they need to have, we have a two-syllable word, market, okay? So they need to identify the syllables in market. Then they need to keep this mar in their brain first for a short period of time. Then mar, r, mar. Go to the second syllable, k, et. So keeping that information to spell in the working memory, it will be difficult for them. By the meantime, they process the second syllable, the first syllable would be gone. Okay, so that is important for us to know. This working memory issues are common in dyslexic individuals. Then, how are they connected? First one, phonological processing. Dyslexic individuals, they often struggle to hold sounds in memory, to blend or segment them, which affects reading and spelling, as I gave an example now. Reading fluency. Working memory limitations can make it hard to keep track of word sequences, sentence structure, and meaning. So if they when you give sentences, they need to divide sentences into short phrases. Okay, that will give the expression and the reading fluency. So if they cannot keep the track of phrases or phrase sequence, it will be difficult for them to read fluently at the end. Then you can see spelling and writing. Poor memory, working memory can impair the ability to remember spelling patterns or structure or writing coherently. As an example I gave you before, there are different ways to spell k, and check for CK, okay? CK will never be used at the beginning of a word, and it will be used only right after a short vowel sounds. So this you need to keep in mind. If they can't, then they will be just confused which one to be used when. Is it a C, is it a K, or is it a CK when they are spelling? Yeah. Then how dyslexia is identified. You can just see the signs. One, difficulty following multi-step instructions, I can call it as. Then difficulty concentrating and easily distracted by background noise. Difficulty with reading, including speed and accuracy. When I'm just talking about speed and accuracy, I need to add a point here. Always when we are looking at reading, mostly we should look at the accuracy first before fluency. Because the accuracy is the first thing that comes, in reading for these individuals. And if they can read accurately, consistently, then fluency will follow. Yeah. Then problems with organization skills, including time management, poor spelling, rereading information to understand the context and meaning, then issues with sequencing words or ideas, and difficulty with note taking. Yeah, so these are some signs for dyslexia. Now we have another activity. There we go. Here, please try to read this one. Okay. You can just feel how a dyslexic individual might feel while they are reading. Okay. This is what they have it inside when they try to read. All type of frustrations. Just try to read this one, see that whether it's making sense to you. So that is you see that it is very difficult, when they have a task. And obviously they will have a gap between what is expected from them in classroom and where they are functioning. And if they can't understand, what they are reading, how will they perform? Yeah. And then you can see here another one. Okay, see here you have 40 seconds. Yeah, try to copy this one, please. With whichever hand it is, dominant or non-dominant, doesn't matter. So try to copy this one, 40 seconds, and your time starts right now. And you can share your experience. Let's say 10 more seconds. Yep. I can see that doesn't make sense to me. Yes, this is what is happening in the classroom. Yep, stop. This is what is happening in the classroom because, you know, they don't know. They don't know what is written in there. And when the teacher is asking them, okay, you have this limited period of time and you need to finish it. Yeah, and they are in a stress and they won't be able to finish. They try to avoid the task. Yeah, you can see that I can't copy what does not make sense, and I was so slow. Yes, so see, when this is what is happening, things doesn't make sense to them. Okay, when they have to just read, copy, that is a problem there. Yeah, and you can, I was slow, I can't understand. Yes, see, that's the same thing happening with these kids in classrooms. Okay, so now we are moving on to some myths and facts. First one, dyslexia means seeing letters or words backwards. How many of you agree with that? Please write it in the chat. Any answers? If you agree, you don't agree. Yes, it's a myth. And what is the fact for that? Dyslexia is not a visual problem. People with dyslexia don't see letters or words backwards. It's a language-based learning difference that affects the brain's ability to process written and spoken language. So it is not a visual problem. Second myth, dyslexia can be outgrown. No, this is a lifelong condition, okay? With early intervention and right support, individuals with dyslexia can learn to manage their difficulties and succeed academically and professionally. Now, third one, boys are more likely to have dyslexia than girls. Research shows that dyslexia affects both boys and girls equally, though boys may be more frequently diagnosed due to more noticeable classroom behavior. Next one. If a dyslexic child reads out loud for 20 minutes a day, it will improve their reading. Fact. Reading out loud will not teach a dyslexic child decoding skills or improve fluency. They will be still struggling with the reading, okay? They already struggle with reading, and if you're giving reading practice, again, that is adding pressure on them, okay? They will continue to try to memorize the shape of a word and use picture clues or context clues to guess the words, rather than using any strategy. Yeah. Then fifth one, dyslexic children will never read well, so it is best to teach them to compensate. No, people with dyslexia can become excellent readers, decent spellers, and good writers if they receive the right type of intervention. Yep, there we go. Now from dyslexia, we are moving to dysgraphia. What comes to your mind when you think of dysgraphia? So you can put some answers in the chat, please. Dysgraphia, what do you think dysgraphia means? Can I get some answers in the chat? Don't worry, there are no wrong answers here. Okay, graph pictures, yes, writing difficulties, difficulties in writing. Yeah. Floating letters. Yes, thank you for that. And let's see what is dysgraphia. Okay, dysgraphia is a learning disability resulting from difficulty in expressing thoughts in writing and graphing. So whatever is written, the difficulties are for written language. Yeah, and you can see here dyslexia versus dysgraphia, the similarities and differences. Dyslexia, you can just see mostly it is with reading. Reading and spelling skills are affected. Then phonemic awareness is a problem. Then inconsistency in spelling. Then difficulty with rhyming activities. And then dysgraphia, you can see primary writing skills affected. Then problems with letter formation and spacing. Difficulty translating ideas into written language. I know that I can say it, but I won't be able to write it down on the paper. Now, written work may be hard to read, and the grammatical problems also will be seen. Then what is common with both? You can see poor spelling and punctuation. Then written work doesn't reflect knowledge or ability. Then avoidance of writing tasks, messy handwriting. So this is common with both. Now, there are some signs of dysgraphia. Illegible handwriting, avoids writing or drawing, difficulty writing regardless of ability to read, then difficulty organizing thoughts on paper, then tires quickly while writing. They would say that, okay, my hands are aching, I won't be able to write. And then you can see pencil grip will be tight or awkward, omits or leaves words unfinished in writing, and says word aloud while writing. So you can just see these signs in dysgraphic individuals. Mostly they try to avoid writing, anything in writing. So it will be a stress for them, whatever they have to do with a paper and pencil. Or okay, there are 4 subtypes of dysgraphia. And you can see the first one is called dyslexic dysgraphia. Then the second one is called motor dysgraphia. Third one is spatial dysgraphia. Fourth one, language-based dysgraphia. So we will go in detail. The first one is called dyslexic dysgraphia. What the core issue, mainly with spellings, written spellings, and rooted in language-based processing. That means phonological deficits will be there. Then handwriting is often illegible, and copied writing is usually better. When you ask them to just write for 10 minutes, you can see the handwriting would be illegible. And when you ask them to copy from a board or from a text, it would be better. Then you can see obviously poor spelling because of the difficulties in following spelling patterns or following the sounds to, or we call it a segmenting sounds in encoding, and with always focus with dyslexia. That is called dyslexic dysgraphia. Second one, you can see motor dysgraphia, mainly fine motor skills problems. One will be difficulties in holding the pencils, and the pencil grip will be a problem. And you can see in poor motor planning, mostly with dyspraxic individuals, you can see motor dysgraphia. Then second one, handwriting, illegible even when copying, and slow and labored. Other traits, poor pencil grip, the posture will be awkward, the writing posture, and difficulty with tasks requiring manual dexterity, like buttoning clothes, whichever having the manual finger dexterity will be a problem. Then the third one is spatial dysgraphia. The core issue is visual spatial ability in perception and using the space mainly. Okay, handwriting will be poor spacing of words while writing, inconsistent letter sizing, then difficulties in maintaining lines. They will just start in a line, either they will go up or they will go down. It's a difficulty of maintaining lines. This is the spatial difficulty. Then problems in organizing written material on a page. This often coexists with nonverbal learning difficulties. Then the fourth one, language-based dysgraphia. First one, what is the core issue? Expressive language difficulties. Normally we say when we have difficulties with language or an expression, then obviously that will be seen in writing also. If we can express well already, most of the time we can, put that in paper. Yeah. So this is a difficulty. You can see language-based dysgraphia. Then second, here you can see handwriting. Mostly the handwriting will be legible. Difficulty organizing thoughts on paper. Then grammar and sentence structure are often weak. Handwriting will be mostly legible. Then other traits, more about written expression than handwriting mechanics. Okay. So here, can a child, I have a question here. Sorry, I need to just cut in between. Can a child have 2 types of dysgraphia? Yes. Okay, so it can have 2 types of dysgraphia. Maybe a child is having a language problem, then if language problem is also there, it can add to the third one also. Yeah. Okay, so now we are moving into how can we help? Yeah, that is the most important one. if you see a dyslexic or dysgraphic student, you can see all these areas are interconnected and everything will be affecting their well-being. Yeah. This one, I just wanted to show you. This is one of my students. Yeah, this is a graphic student. And you can see here, this is at the beginning when the student came for intervention. And this is after, you can see 72 hours of written intervention. You can see the same individual. You can see what they write. This is spontaneous writing. You see from here to here. That's the difference that we can make with appropriate intervention. Yeah. Then moving forward, what can we do? First one, we are moving, first of all, when we identify a student or an individual with a learning difficulty, we need to go for a diagnostic evaluation. So in cognitive evaluation, what we do, first we identify, see here, we always go for the full psychoeducation assessment to identify or diagnose dyslexia or dysgraphia. And you can see which are the areas involved in the assessment. First one, you can see the verbal ability, visual spatial ability, fluid reasoning, working memory, and processing speed. This will be assessed. And always, please remember this one. When we are doing the cognitive assessment, the cognitive evaluation does not diagnose dyslexia alone, okay? So it gives insight to the strengths and weaknesses, the cognitive strengths and weaknesses of that individual. And we can see the comparison with their achievement ability. So that is what we check. So only cognitive ability test will not give a diagnosis of dyslexia or dysgraphia. So many very bright or linguistically gifted dyslexic children are not identified because they often achieve at an average level, but we always check what is their ability level, what they can achieve and where they are. Maybe they are in the average range. So based on their ability level, they are not achieving. So that is what that discrepancy is, the one that we always check for when we do the cognitive evaluation. Then cognitive evaluations can be done by psychologists. Yeah. Then second part of the assessment, reading, writing, there are specific evaluations for that. The first one is phonological awareness, then language-based memory, rapid automatic naming for letter names and sounds, then receptive vocabulary and phonics skills. Then we check also decoding of real words and non-real words. Real words, most of the time, what will happen is they can memorize some words, okay? And they will just see by the number of letters of it or how it looks like. And then for nonsense words, that is what we really check, in the sense, if they have a word which is not real, then they have to use the sounds to decode those words. That will give us an idea whether they are using any strategy or they are just guessing the words. Yeah. Then for the next part is oral reading fluency for words, sentences, and paragraphs. Then spelling, real words and non-real words. Then we go for writing, sentence level, and paragraph level. These are part of our assessment when we do the diagnostic evaluation. Okay. Now we are going to the intervention part. So early interventions are always important. Why? Because the brain, the plasticity of the brain is very important, especially in young children. We can make connections faster. So with structured literacy instruction like Orton Gillingham or any evidence-based phonics program, we can give intervention for dyslexic or dysgraphic students. So they will show increased activation in the left hemisphere that we are talking about, which are underactive. They use mostly right hemisphere of the brain to guess the words or how the words look like. So use the program. This is very important for us to use a program which is evidence-based, okay? And evidence-based interventions, how it will help. If you are teaching or if you're having the phonological awareness training, always it improves sound letter association. For example, you have the letter A and it gives the sound A, B, B. So these sound letter associations are very important. I've seen with students so many times when they come, okay, for intervention, what they can do is when they have a word, for example, they have a word to spell belt, okay, they can say it is b-e-ult, b-e-e-l-t. This connection is not there. Letter name and letter sound, the association should be there, because when we have a word rain, they can say it is r-a-n, but what is the spelling of a sound there? It is a-i. They need to know the letter names. It is a and I to have a sound. So this is what I've seen in many kids. When they spell, they know the letter sounds, but they don't have the connection of letter sounds and letter name. When you can see when they spell these words, you can see the difficulty. They don't know. They don't know. They can just say rain, R-A-N. It's not R-A-I-N. So this making this connection of letter names and letter sounds very important. Then in the intervention, you can see multi-sensory structure learning approach. It's very important to have a program that is multi-sensory. You can see what you're trying to do. I showed you the picture of the brain. We are trying to make connections between the word analysis, how the word looks like, what is the sound of it, and what is the meaning of it. So if you don't have the multi-sensory way of teaching, what will happen is it will not, give the connections in the brain to analyze the word. Rather than that, you need to see the connection of what is a word and what is the meaning of it and how we analyze it. So multi-sensory teaching approach is very important for students having dyslexia. Then reading fluency practice, how it helps? It helps the link between word form and word analysis to read fluently. Then speech to print approaches reinforce, again, letter sound association, reinforces the phonological route in the brain. Okay, there we go. Effective interventions for dyslexia. Education interventions are there, behavior strategies are there. We can use assistive technology tools and emotional and psychological support. So every education intervention should have these parts in it. One, it should be given in a multi-sensory way, and it should have phonology instructions associated. Then sound symbol associations should be taught. Syllable instructions should be given. Morphology should be taught. That means if I have a word, okay, I have a word unhappy. Un is the prefix. Happy is a root word. So we need to teach exclusively the morphology part also for them to identify, because we are dividing the words into smaller chunks so that they can focus only one part at a time. So what is a prefix? What is a root word? What is a suffix? Very important for them to identify and use. Then syntax for grammar and word order, and semantics, meaning of words. So an education intervention should cover all these areas. Then the second one, use of technology. Yes, we can use technology also for these individuals with dyslexia, dyslexia for now, because for them, their ability level will be lower than what is expected in school. So for them to accommodate or access the curriculum, we need to introduce technology also, like text-to-speech software. They can listen to the text instead of reading, or speech-to-text tools. Then audiobooks, they can listen to the books. And some educational apps like Nessie or Lexia. So those will help us in giving phonological instructions. Okay, these are some examples I've given: text-to-speech software, Natural Reader, then audiobooks, Learning Alley, then Nessie, Lexia for educational apps. Then effective intervention there for dysgraphia. You can see, again, educational interventions, occupational therapy, assistive technology, psychological and emotional support. In here, you can see in educational interventions, one, structured handwriting programs should be taught exclusively, then use of graphic organizers, then explicit instruction in spelling and grammar. We were discussing that before. like each spelling rule should be taught and practiced consistently. And then breaking writing tasks into smaller steps. For example, when they have a writing task, they need to just given the writing structure, in the sense you should have a topic sentence, then the main idea, supporting details, conclusion, they should be taught exclusively, okay? And different types of text also. Then you can see occupational therapy approaches. Why? First one, for enhancing the fine motor skills. Second one, hand strengthening exercises. Then pencil grip training and posture adjustment and sensory integration therapy. This is important for individuals with dysgraphia to have occupational therapy, also hand in hand with educational therapy. Then here comes the accommodations, how these accommodations and access arrangements can help in school. Always when we remember of dyslexia, dysgraphia, the ability, again, I'm saying the ability level will be lower and what is expected when you compare what is expected in school. So how we can help these kids in school? When we see that they need to access the curriculum, it's always important for them to get to know what is expected of them and how to do it. So that is important for you also to see that what is accommodation and access arrangement, the meaning of it. Accommodation means change the way the student can access information and demonstrate their knowledge, skills, and abilities in study and assessments. This is not to change the academic standard or expectation. Okay, so the academic standards or expectation from the student will stay the same. In accommodation, what we are trying to do, we are trying to introduce some strategies or some tools for the students to access the information, what is expected from them. So that is very important for you to know. Accommodations doesn't mean that we are changing the curriculum or we are reducing the curriculum expectations. The expectations and standards will stay the same. Here we need to tell the students this is to help you to access what is needed from you. And the access arrangements, you can see this allows students with special education needs to access the assessment and show what they know or can do without changing the demands of the assessment. So maybe sometimes they, for dysgraphic students, they use a laptop for the assessment. Or sometimes a reader can be there for dyslexic student to read the questions. Or maybe for some kids, we can just have scribes. They can dictate the answers and the scribe can write the answers for these students. So it is important for us to know what is access arrangement and what is accommodations in school. Yeah. And now we are moving into 10 things every child with dyslexia wants you to know. These are very important for us to understand the child, with dyslexia or dysgraphia. So you can see the first one, I'm not stupid or lazy. I need time to get things done. Second one, I may be dyslexic, but I can still shine in lots of other areas. Third, it might take me a long time to get it, but when I get it, it sticks. Next, when you break things down into smaller steps, I find it really, really helpful. And sometimes I just need to work in a different way to the others in class to get the job done. And you can see I try my best, but do get frustrated. I need you to be patient with me. My dyslexia does not only affect my literacy skills and other areas also like self-esteem, self-confidence, yeah? And I find visual reminders helpful as I sometimes find remembering everything a bit tricky. And I often like to work in a quiet room as I can find noises very distracting. And my dyslexia is just one part of my character. It does not define who I am or want to be. Okay, so please keep these 10 things in your head. Now, you can see some famous dyslexics here. That means, yes, dyslexic or dysgraphics can achieve in their lives. It's not a barrier. So we need to just give them appropriate ways to cope with it. Yep. Thank you. So now we can take some questions. Okay, so I can see first question here. Do dyslexia and dysgraphia always occur together? Not necessarily. Dyslexia, you can see the dyslexia, dysgraphia. That time you can see dyslexia and dysgraphia can go together. It can come separate also. Yeah. Now the second one you can see, is there any tools available to help dyslexic and dysgraphic students? There are many tools available to help dyslexic and dysgraphic students. I showed you in the intervention part, there should be different interventions together. One is an educational intervention. In that one, you need to use evidence-based phonological instructions. That is the first part of dyslexia intervention. And that time, you need to see it should be a multisensory approach that you're giving these students. So there are many tools, and always please remember to use evidence-based tools. And definitely there are trainings available online and offline. Then, in teens, how do I assure that the student has dyslexia and is not just lazy? Okay, so you can just see here, when you have the dyslexia or dysgraphia students, you can see the genuinity in over a period of time, in the sense if you see that consistently, okay, it's being lazy is something, is avoidance of task, right? So when they avoid task, we need to see what is the reason for avoiding these tasks. So if a dyslexic student is, avoiding tasks, for one, it should be seen in all the areas of their study, in the sense any language, any subject, they will see this in all the languages or all the subjects, because sometimes some students will like one subject, science, they don't like English. So they try to avoid tasks in English, but in science, they will be great. So if they can do that, then you need to be careful in that one. And if you see the student is having difficulties in all the areas, then we can suspect, yes, it's dyslexia. Now, AI tool. Yes, there are many AI tools available for helping students with dyslexia or dysgraphia. Mainly, you can just see speech-to-text and text-to-speech tools. Text-to-speech ones, you can use many available online. Text-to-speech, just highlight it and the computer can read it to you. So you can use it for students with dyslexia for their reading purposes, and dictation for any dictating tool for dysgraphic students. Now, how to deal with adult students? Other students, I have college-going individuals also coming to me for intervention dyslexia, dysgraphia. In that one, you can see you need to, again, I need to tell you one thing here. Please remember here, we are not trying to teach them subjects. It's not tuition, okay? We are trying to give them strategies to keep with them, to continue using it until they finish their studies, because it's a lifelong condition. So it's mostly strategy teaching rather than tutoring them. Yeah. So these strategies we can use any age. So adults, even adult students, mainly you can just see for the adult students, the problem is they are getting the feedback of, okay, this is difficult for me, that is difficult for me, and the self-esteem would be down, they will be low. And it's important for you to just give them the feeling of success. Yes, you can do it, by giving them the strategies. It's very important that you show them, yeah, how they can achieve. Okay, now, if dyslexia is identified later stages, 10 to 12, the grade 10 or 12, how we can start intervention? Yes, we can start intervention with them. As I said, I have intervention individuals coming from even universities. Yeah. Okay. So can dyslexia and autism occur in a single student? Actually, if you say autism, if you say ASD, autism spectrum, you can see learning difficulties. We cannot diagnose that as dyslexia because it is mostly seen as a secondary problem because of autism, the primary problem. Yep. Are we done with the questions? Okay. So thank you all for attending the seminar today, the webinar. If you are having any questions in the future, please let us know. You have the emails. Okay. We will be answering those ones. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you,
Bye.
Praveen. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, for your questions. And we will be sending the recording, or simply visit our YouTube channel and subscribe. You can watch the replay. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
All for joining us today. We truly appreciate your time, your thoughtful questions, and your dedication to supporting children with learning differences. A special thanks to our speaker, Praveen, for sharing his expertise and insights. And to everyone who joined us via Zoom and our YouTube live stream. Thank you. Stay connected with us. Follow TDCC on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more webinars and expert content. Please take a screenshot of the contact details now showing on your screen. Feel free to share this with friends, families, or colleagues who may benefit from it. To stay updated on future webinars, training sessions, and support services, scan the QR codes on screen. We look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. From all of us at the Developing Child Center. Thank you, and have a great day.